Good day, my viewers. You are welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Oluseye Matthias, and this is the Diary of Truth. For some time, we'll be looking at the study of the end time. It is end time, and so many things are happening around the world. And as much as we are preparing for the coming of the Lord, we also need to equip ourselves with some information so that we are not led astray by winds of false doctrines, and which is why this video has been made. A lot of research has been done by people, and in the process of creating this video, and I'll be sharing my knowledge with you who care to watch concerning happenings in around the world, especially with regard to end time and the coming kingdom. So today I want to start with the personality of Antichrist, and then I'll be answering the question of who Antichrist is not. People attribute so many character strengths to Antichrist. We talk about Antichrist as omniscience, omnipresence, omnipotent, and then we equate him to the devil himself, even some attributes that Satan does not have, or some things that Satan himself doesn't have power to do. We kind of give it to Satan simply because we did not go through or dig deep into the scriptures. Now we are going to be seeing some things, what the Bible says about Antichrist and how it applies to end time, and then at what time it is applicable. Let me start by reading from Revelation chapter 17, which talk about, say one or two things about the personality of Antichrist. And then, in fact, this passage contains so many facts that people twist or people misunderstand. And then, the understanding of this part, the passage I want to read now, will go a long way to help us to know who Antichrist is. Now follow me as I read Revelation chapter 17, verse 9. And say, and here is mind. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Verse 10. And there are 7 kings. 5 were falling, one is, and the other is not yet come. And when it cometh, it must continue a short pace. Let me stop here a little bit to explain one or two things. If you start this passage from verse 1, it talks about a woman who wears a purple robe, sits upon a beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, the interpretation of that animal is what was given to John in this place. And that woman is called Mystery Babylon. Is another picture that is being misunderstood entirely. But in another video, I will talk about that. But here, I want to focus on the Antichrist, the beast. Now, it talks about mountains and it talks about kings. 7 mountains and 7 kings. Now, note verse 9. The 7 mountains, as I said, the seven heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits, and there are 7 kings. So you can see from this place, it relates 7 mountains to 7 kings. And if you are to consider that, you will realize there is no correlation between mountains and king, if you have to take that statement literally. But to cut all the stories short and to avoid unnecessary complications, mountains here represent kingdoms. Mountains have been kingdoms, and therefore it says there are 7 kingdoms and then 7 kings. So these 7 kings, he went ahead to say in verse 10, there are 7 kings, 5 are falling, one is. That means out of the 7 kingdoms, and out of the 7 kings that are manning the 7 kingdoms, 5 of these kingdoms were in the past. They are fallen. They have been conquered. They are no longer relevant, especially as at the time John was writing this book of Revelation. That was around 95 AD. As at that time, 5 had been conquered and they were no longer in existence. And then it said one is. That means there was one of those 7 kings that were ruling the world at that time. And of course, you know, from the time of Christ, shortly before Christ came, until shortly after he resurrected, the Roman Empire has been the kingdom that was in power. So that was the one that was as at the time John was writing. So that is the one it say one is. And then he went ahead to say, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. This other one is another head on the head of the beast that the woman sits on. Now, this other one that is not yet come, that will only take a short while, is the extension of the Roman Empire. You can see that illustration in the Revelation, in the golden image seen by Nebuchadnezzar, and the one seen by Daniel in Daniel chapter 7, and you can see it also in chapter 8 and other Bible passages that relate to beast, or that relate beast to the kingdom. They all refer to the same set of kings, or some kings that relate to the original 7. So what we are saying here is that mountain represents kings. So if somebody says the beast is the Antichrist, or Antichrist is the beast, just like throughout the book of Revelation, Antichrist is called the beast. And because of this, people say Antichrist is a beast. What does beast really mean? The word beast signifies kingdoms. Of course, we all know in all the countries where we live, we have our countries being represented by one beast or the other, ranging from lion, eagle, horses, dove, and a lot of other beasts like that, even bulls, even world power stars, and a different group that have achieved exploit use eagles to represent them. So when the Bible talks about beasts, it doesn't refer to Antichrist being an animal or a demonic animal. He's a human with a logo of beasts. In fact, all those beasts are represented with something. For example, Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon is seen as lion. And then, after then, you see bear. That is the kingdom that followed Nebuchadnezzar, that followed Babylon in ruling the world, as at that time, is Medo-Persia. It was represented with bear. In fact, history says that in the mountains around Medo-Persia, they are popularly known to have bears in large quantity, more than any other region in the ancient world. So these are logos, these are prophecies that identify each of these kingdoms with different animals. So what I would say, Antichrist is not animal, based on the fact that he is called animal from the scripture. All kingdoms from Egypt to Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, the Grecian country, empire, the Roman Empire, and the ones that will come, like the revised empire, which John is talking about here, saying that he will come, but it will be for a short time. It's going to be a kingdom of 10 kingdoms, which represent the 10 horns on the beast on which the woman sits. You can see that in chapter 17, verse 3 to 4. It describes the animal, and it's a description of kingdoms that have reigned, that have ruled over Israel from time immemorial until the time of Antichrist in the future, during the Great Tribulation. Now, what are the things that people, the labels that people give to Antichrist which he doesn't have? Number one, he said Antichrist is a beast. Like I've said, Antichrist is not a beast, simply because all kingdoms mentioned in prophecy are also seen as beasts. And in fact, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 to 4 describe Antichrist as the son of perdition. And also, like I said, lion, bear, leopard were used to describe Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece. Also, some people call him demon. They say it's a fallen angel that will come from the pit, from bottomless pit. Yeah, the Bible talks about a beast coming from the bottomless pit, but that beast is not Antichrist. But one thing you need to understand is when the Bible talk about beasts, there are three personalities that are embedded in beasts. We have just seen here that mountains, which I say represent the kingdoms, is associated with kings. So there cannot be a kingdom without a king. So those are the two parts in this beast mentioned. But we also know, especially from history, if you look at the story of Daniel, when he was praying, he talks about the prince of Persia and the prince of Grecia. These are not human princes. They are demonic princes that are working together, that are empowering every kingdom. And up to now, we have princes over different nations and kingdoms. So these are power, spiritual power behind what happened in each of the kingdoms. So in the same way, these kingdoms have princes. The kings have, these spiritual princes control the kings and the kingdom to behave the way they behave. And that is what happens here. There is a kingdom that we influence, there is a prince, a spiritual prince of darkness, that we influence the decision, we empower, and we work together with Antichrist. In fact, later the Bible talk about some three frogs, spirit like frog, that will come from the Antichrist, the false prophet, and the devil himself, to go and gather people to them to battle against Christ and against the saints. So these are demonic personality that will help this man, Antichrist, to empower. Apart from the fact that Satan will give him his power and his throne to overcome. Because you can see that also in the early part of the chapter 17 that we are talking about. So Satan is not a demon. Antichrist is not a demon. Is a human. Then the next one, some people say, is going to be a dead person that will reincarnate. And they use this passage to support it. In verse 11 of where I'm reading, it says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth to perdition. So they are quick to say this person was before and is not. And there is a place they say he received the mark of the deadly blow of sword. He was killed, he was injured, and it was healed. So he still talks about this demonic personality who had a fight that was overthrown by by archangels, Gabriel and Michael. You can see that story in Daniel, but it's not for this video. We talk about that more in one of these days. Another point we need to understand is, like I said, it's not one of the dead come to life, and also he is not any of the past or present king yet, until we begin to see some signs that shows that exhibition is manifesting some attitude, exhibition, character that shows, as revealed in the scriptures, that this is Antichrist. Those characters, I will mention them in my subsequent videos, that we know what are the things that Antichrist will do to show that the signs is actually the Antichrist. They are all there in the scriptures for us to understand. And lastly, he will not be a pope or any religious leader in the past or in the present. So with this, we look forward to who Antichrist is. I hope we will meet you in the next video. Stay blessed.